I love Rocket Raccoon, but these changes make him feel terrible. Let me be extra clear here. The changes doesn't make him bad, they just make him feel bad. So what has actually changed and why do I not like it? Let's begin with his primary healing, his little golden orbs of life. Before the change, they did 70 health per second in a small radius around the orb. This made them very good for consistent sustain on multiple targets. After the change, they only do 50 health per second, but they get an instant one-time burst heal of 55 health if the orb hits an ally. This sounds like it would actually be a pretty decent buff, right? I mean, 55 instant heals and then 50 per second after should, in theory, yield more healing on a single target, especially when you spam the orbs. However, there is a slight flaw with this new addition, in my opinion, and that is the projectile speed slow near injured allies. This slow mechanic is really good if your only goal is to get as much coverage by the healing per second as possible. However, it sabotages you a bit when trying to make direct hits. And even though they did increase the speed near allies slightly from 4.5 meters per second to 7 meters per second, it's still not enough to avoid frustration. And that's without taking into consideration the current, what I assume must be, bug. This bug makes the orbs angle themselves upward after hitting an ally, leading to two things. One, it makes it slightly harder to hit multiple allies in a row if you shoot horizontally. And two, it creates a weird situation where you can sometimes get a double 55 health instant heal because the orb hits the ground under their feet, which somehow resets it, making it trigger instantly once more on the same target, leading to a 110 instant heal. But let's get back to what I was saying, since I'm sure what I just mentioned is indeed a bug that will get patched out sooner or later. So, enjoy it while it lasts. Anywho, since they have deliberately raised the skill ceiling by making direct hits more rewarding, which is in itself a really good thing, they have simultaneously designed his orb to actively work against you achieving this with the orb slow. Because even if you lead the shot perfectly based on the orb's normal travel time, since the ally is injured and in need of healing, the orb will promptly slow down before making actual contact. This leads to you being more likely to miss that juicy direct hit for the extra burst heal if your ally moves in any way out of the orb's direct path. And typically, your teammates are not exactly going to be standing still in a perfectly straight line for very long, especially if they are actively taking damage. At least one would hope. This is then further exacerbated by the fact that if you yourself are in need of healing, your initial orb launch will be slowed down by your own missing health, making the lead time even harder to consistently predict. I think they could easily solve this in two ways. The first one, and the one I prefer, is to remove the orb slow entirely, but buff the AoE heal per second a little bit, so you get a tiny bit more out of the orb as it passes by. This would make the shot super rewarding to hit, and would greatly reward people learning their projectile lead time properly. And to everyone who is about to run to my comments saying, "But Queenie, this would make it super OP if you bounce it around in close quarters." I mean, yeah, this would get a little bit stronger, but not as much as you think, since A, consider the places fights normally occur. Usually most fights happen near or around the objectives, which are pretty open, meaning less surfaces to bounce it on. And B, the orbs already have a limited amount of total healing output per orb. They literally disappear before bouncing even once if at least two heroes needs enough healing at the same time. So if we increase the AoE heal per second to make up for the faster traveling speed, we can also simply lower the total output per orb to keep it from being OP, especially since the orb's healing over time doesn't stack. It's not perfect, very few things are except the concept of Adam Warlock, but I think it would feel so much better to play. The other way they could solve this is by making the quote-unquote direct hit range a lot more generous than it currently is, meaning that as soon as the orb gets in range of a hero in need of healing, it would trigger the burst. I personally don't like this solution very much, but it would help the predictability a lot. And to ensure you don't get crazy efficient, they would likely have to reduce either the direct hit heal or the healing over time even further. It would also lower the skill ceiling, which is boring, so yeah, not my favorite solution, even though it would solve how frustratingly inconsistent it currently feels. Now we get to the worst change they made to his kit, his rocket dash. Boy oh boy. It was the main thing that made him feel super fluid and fun to play. It used to have a 10 10-meter range and a 6-second cooldown, making him very slippery. The reason for this need to be very slippery is because his hero model is essentially just a giant head hitbox, making him very easy to kill unless you can't aim, and that's not Rocket's fault. For some reason, they decided to make it only 8 meters in range and increased its cooldown to 10 whole seconds. Yikes. This change truly makes him feel horrible to play unless you enjoy only sitting very far back in the back line to heal bot non-stop. So hey, if this is your cup of tea, you're welcome, I guess. His dash was such an integral part of his kit and how he plays that it honestly feels like they ripped the very soul out of his tiny little raccoon body. Melodrama and hyperbole aside, I just feel like the healing orb and movement changes together has made him feel so dang clunky and awkward to play, whereas before he felt pretty fluid and fun. And to the people shouting skill issue at their monitors right now, I've already reserved seats for you. Please go ahead. We're not done yet though. We still have to talk about his ultimate change. Do I hate it? Not at all. Do I feel like they caved into the all healers must have damage canceling ultis to make up for my mistakes crybaby crowd? Yeah, 100%. Imagine a world where they went fuck it and went fully balls to the wall and leaned in even harder into his niche of being a healer ult counter and gave him even more attack power and thus solidifying him as the ultimate counter to triple support ults. Oh, what's that? Luna popped your ultimate that lasts for 5 to 7 business days? No worries, we have Rocket Raccoon, and then you could pop your mega buff, giving you like, I don't know, 70% damage increase, infinite ammo to everyone, and a 50% attack speed buff to all teammates in range. It would even balance itself out since it would still be useless if your team can't aim. Sadly, the devs didn't have the same glorious vision for Rocket as me and went with a nerf to his damage buff from 40 to 25% and gave it a continuously applied overhealth of 100 health per second that caps out at 150 instead. Boo, boring. Also, I personally don't think the overhealth is impactful enough for the damage buff trade-off considering it's also completely stationary. But hey, at least it has made people complain slightly less about having a Rocket Raccoon on the team. So to summarize, heal change can be really good situationally, but feels inconsistent and awkward to use thanks to the orb slow near injured allies, including yourself. The Rocket dash nerf is just straight ass, and the ult charge is fine. It's just hella boring. Anyways, I'm Queenie, and thank you for coming to my Rocket Talk.